The wind howled across the snowy mountain as Thomas, a wealthy businessman in his late 60s, guided his wife Martha along the cliffside trail. She trusted him, completely unaware of his sinister plan. Behind his charming smile hid a heart of greed. He had grown tired of his aging wife and had fallen for his young secretary, Elena. Tonight, he would get rid of Martha forever. The mountain was silent, except for the crunch of their boots on ice and the whisper of betrayal waiting to unfold. As they reached the cliff's edge, Martha smiled, gazing at the glowing valley below. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Yes," Thomas murmured, stepping closer. "Just like you once were." Before she could turn, he shoved her with both hands. Her scream echoed down the valley before vanishing into silence. Thomas stood still, panting, his breath visible in the frosty air. He whispered, "Goodbye, old love," then calmly walked back to his car, leaving no trace of what he'd done. The mountain had swallowed his sin, or so he thought. Days later, Thomas acted like nothing happened. The police believed Martha had slipped during their hike. The funeral was quick, quiet, and attended by few. Within a month, Thomas married Elena, the beautiful, ambitious secretary he had secretly adored. Their mansion glowed with luxury, laughter, and wine. But behind closed doors, Thomas sometimes woke up sweating, haunted by Martha's scream echoing in his dreams. He drank to silence it. He thought money could buy peace, but guilt has a sound that never fades. But far from the city's noise, deep among the mountain's icy slopes, Martha was alive. Her body had landed on a ledge covered in thick snow, broken, bleeding, but breathing. For days she crawled, drinking melted snow to survive. Wild animals howled nearby, but something inside her refused to die. Each night she stared at the stars and whispered, "Why, Thomas? Why me?" The mountains became her home, her prison, and her test of strength. Weeks passed. Hunger clawed her stomach until one day she stumbled upon a glowing tree unlike any she'd ever seen. Its fruit shimmered with golden light. Driven by desperation, she took a bite, and warmth flooded her body. Her pain faded. Her scars vanished. Within minutes, she felt her bones strengthen, her skin tighten, her face glow with youth again. She gasped at her reflection in the ice. She was young, radiant, breathtaking, reborn. The mountain that once tried to kill her had given her new life. Martha, now youthful, graceful, and stronger than ever, wandered through the wilderness like a spirit of nature. Her hair shimmered under sunlight. Her eyes burned with quiet fire. Days turned into months as she learned to live again, hunting, healing, surviving. And deep in her heart grew something more powerful than fear, the will to return. One morning, as she washed in a mountain stream, she heard footsteps. A man appeared, a rugged young traveler named Ethan, his eyes full of awe. You look like a dream," he said. He helped her gather food and shelter. They talked for hours. To Ethan, she was a mystery, beautiful, wise, and kind. To Martha, he was the first person in months who didn't bring pain. Slowly, the mountains that once symbolized death began to whisper love again. Ethan and Martha became inseparable. He taught her how to build fires. She told him stories of loss and faith. When she finally revealed her past, Ethan didn't flinch. "You deserve happiness," he said softly, taking her hand. Under the stars, they fell in love, two souls healing each other. She no longer hated Thomas. She simply wanted peace, but fate had written something darker. After a year, Martha and Ethan decided to return to civilization. When she reached the city, billboards screamed the name she thought she'd buried, Thomas Williams, now married to Elena, flaunting his wealth in magazines. Seeing his face reignited everything she had buried under snow. Betrayal, pain, and justice. Ethan noticed her trembling hands and asked, "What will you do?" Martha whispered, "He buried me alive. Now it's time to return the favor." Using a fake name and her new youthful face, Martha got a job at one of Thomas's hotels. He didn't recognize her. Why would he? To him, Martha was dead. She watched him from a distance, studying his every move, every weakness. Elena, now his wife, flaunted diamonds and vanity, but treated everyone cruelly. Martha waited patiently, her beauty disarming, her silence dangerous. Martha began to manipulate small things. Documents misplaced, deals falling apart, rumors spreading. She whispered truths into the right ears, and soon Thomas's empire began to crack. Elena blamed him for every loss. Their once perfect marriage turned sour. Thomas couldn't sleep. "It's like someone's haunting me," he muttered, unaware that his ghost had flesh and blood and a plan. One evening, Thomas received a mysterious dinner invitation from a potential investor. When he arrived, candlelight flickered across a private dining room. A stunning woman in red sat waiting. "Mr. Williams," she greeted with a smile that froze his soul. Something about her voice, her eyes, felt hauntingly familiar. "Have we met before?" he asked. "Once," she replied softly. "A long time ago, on a mountain." Thomas's hands shook. "No, it can't be," he stammered. Martha leaned forward, whispering, "You threw me away, but the mountain gave me back." He backed away, terrified. "You're dead," he gasped. "Not anymore," she said, her eyes like fire. "And now, Thomas, it's your turn to fall." But before Martha could act, karma moved faster. That same night, Elena discovered Thomas's declining fortune. "You're broke," she screamed. "You're useless now." She called her lawyer and began plotting to take everything. Martha watched silently as the same greed that once consumed Thomas now devoured his new wife. Elena emptied his bank accounts, sold his properties, and vanished with another man. Thomas was ruined, his empire gone, his name disgraced. He sat alone in his empty mansion, haunted by shadows. Martha visited one last time, standing before him as he wept. "You took everything from me," he whispered. She replied, "No, Thomas. You gave it all away, to greed." Martha left without another word. She returned to the mountains with Ethan, where they built a small cabin near the stream that had once saved her life. They lived quietly, happily, never speaking of the past again. The mountain that once took everything now gave her everything she truly needed: love, peace, and freedom. Sometimes at night, Martha would hear the wind whisper Thomas's name, faint, distant, lonely. She felt no anger, only sorrow. He got what he deserved, Ethan would remind her. She would smile softly and reply, "Yes, but I got what I needed." Years later, Thomas was found dead in his ruined mansion, alone, penniless, clutching a faded photo of Martha. His story ended where his greed began. Meanwhile, in the mountains, Martha and Ethan grew old together, surrounded by nature and peace. She often told travelers, "The mountain gives what you deserve. Some fall, some rise." And that was the truth of life. You cannot bury love, you cannot hide betrayal, and you can never escape karma.